Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. Um, so we all know that right now the university asks everyone who just came back from China to be at home, right? So that's why we have video camera today, so that everyone don't miss out the class. I am very low technology, okay, so I don't know how to live. So this video will not be live, but I will try to post it tonight, okay, on the Facebook group. And I also understand that if do you still have some of you that went back to China and not came back yet, right? So maybe if they cannot use Facebook, maybe you can repost the video to whatever technology more suitable for all of you, okay? Anyhow, I am quite positive about if we think I'm gonna contrast two problems, most important problem in the world at the moment, and I am gonna tell you that I'm quite positive on the solution for one problem, but not to the other, and we're gonna try to understand why, okay? So right now, we all wear masks in Chiang Mai. We all wear masks everywhere in the world for two reasons, okay? So we wear masks for two reasons. One of them is air pollution, okay? One of them is air pollution, and another is the virus, right? So that's why we wear masks. And the virus problem, every government seems to work very hard on it, and there are also a lot of people trying to develop vaccine at the moment, and it probably, I personally feel quite positive that eventually, not too long, we should be able to solve the problem, okay, or control the problem, but we need science to do that. Air pollution, on the other hand, is very hard, a very hard problem to solve. Chiang Mai has had air pollution problem for longer than 20 years, okay? We solved it a little in the past 10 years, but then it came back, and as you know, it gets worse and worse every year now, right? Why do you think that we cannot solve this problem? Why is air pollution so difficult to solve? What? Agriculture. So we have agriculture burning, forest burning. Why does it very, very difficult to prevent the burning? So we lack of technology, right? So we don't have the technology, and they are also pressed with the price that is not high. So they have to cut costs, and that makes them to have incentive to burn, okay? So what I would like to highlight today would be the word incentive, okay? All the agents, all people, the government, the farmers, the exporters, everyone, business people, everyone just gonna respond to the incentive, okay? So whatever problem that we have, and the government and every party have good incentive, okay? Everyone will try to solve the problem. See, everyone wear masks, right? And if you have fever, you go to hospital. If all the government work very hard to solve the problem, all the incentives are correct. So everyone work together to solve the problem. But if you have a problem that the incentives are questionable, then the solution also difficult. So I hope that by the end of this chapter, we get to understand incentive more, okay? And we're gonna come back to answer why environmental problem is so hard to solve, okay? It's so hard to solve. Okay, so this chapter is game theory. I know that I gave you very broad introduction, but eventually this is just like a mathematical model. Okay, this is just a mathematical model to explain how people make decisions. But game theory is different from classical economics a little because in game theory we explain decision making. That are interdependent. Okay, because economics in general is science to explain decision making and the outcome in general. What different is game theory? The difference is we explain decision making that are interdependent, which means that your outcome, okay, your payoff depends not only on your action, but also other people's action. Okay? This is what it means by interdependent decision making. You can have a problem and you feel like I did everything my best. However, the outcome still may not favor you because in life, so many outcomes, so many payoffs depends not only on your own action but also other people's actions. Okay? So can you imagine like when you play rock, paper, scissors, a good example, right? Why? Because if I play rock, okay, I may be winning or I may be losing depending on what you play. Okay? If I play rock and you play scissors, then I win. If I play rock and you play paper, then I lose. So any game like that, any game like rock, paper, scissors, or any game like chess, or any game, many games, winning or losing, does not only depends on your own action, but also other player option. Okay? And therefore, with this type of decision making, we have game theory. But please understand that game theory is not necessarily about game, okay? It can be anything like you are a company, I am a company. And we may compete in advertising, we may compete in price, my profit, depending on not only my own price setting, but also your price setting, right? So if I am, you all know like telecommunication company like AIS or DTAC, right? So they are oligopolists. So there are a few firms in the market, right? So my profit depends not only on how I set price, but depends on how you set price. If you set price lower than me, then I probably cannot sell at all. So any situation like this, that the payoff depends on, no, I cannot control the payoff. My action alone cannot control the payoff. It depends on other people's action as well. We need game theory, okay? Are there any questions? A situation where players make strategic decisions that take into account each other actions and responses, okay? Okay, so now we know what a game is, okay? A game. I already told you that game theory is actually a mathematical modeling, and the key to successfully understand that, you must need to know how to properly set up a game. Okay, you set up the problem first, and then you solve later. So in setting up a game, you need 4 elements. Okay, the first element is you must know who the players are. Okay, So, for example, if we're talking about rock, paper, scissors, the players gonna be me and you, okay? I and you. And only two people. And then, the second element is the set of actions, or we also can call strategy set. Okay? So in the case of rock, paper, scissors, it means that okay, fine. So one player first. So players. So P1 and P2. And now we can have strategy set. Okay? So we can have S1. S1 can choose rock, paper, or scissors. Right? And player 2 can also have the same set. Okay? You can have rock, paper, or scissors. So my drawing. So we want to know that. And number 3, the information between players. Okay? So what does it mean by information? Okay? So in this case, we can have the concept of perfect information. Okay? So maybe you can look at this for simplicity, for the rule the rule of the game. So in this case, you can say that you can have a simultaneous game. Simultaneous means play at the same time. Okay? If you have a simultaneous game, it means that the two people play at the same time. And this is versus sequential game. Sequential game where player 1 play first and player 2 play later. Okay? So I do not use fancy word just for the sake of being fancy. I use the word simultaneous, which just means same time. Because all the textbook about game theory look for it simultaneous game. Okay? And sequential is just like one at a time. Okay? Let me ask you, which one has more information for players, simultaneous or sequential? Oh yes, correct. I'm surprised because in yeah. So and then it's very important to know the rule of the game because if we playing rock paper scissors. And if I ask you, do you want to play simultaneous game or do you want to play sequential game where I let you go first and I go later? Which one do you want? Do you want simultaneous or sequential where I let you go first? We're gonna play rock, paper, scissors, right? And I give you two choices. Play at the same time. Simultaneous. And sequential where I let you go first. Which one is better for you? Simultaneous, right? The rule of the game change the outcome, okay? Because if we play simultaneously, then you and I will have 50% chance to win, right? But sequential game, if I let you go first, then you play rock. I will definitely play paper. I win for 100%. Okay? Change in the information flow, change in the rule of the game. It will change the outcome. Okay? So if we are going to write the playoff for rock, paper, scissors, how do we do that? So suppose that we're gonna do simultaneous game, okay? Simultaneous game. So to write a payoff for a simultaneous game, we usually write it in a normal form. It just means table, okay? We're gonna write a payoff in a normal form, or basically a table. So how do I do that? There are two players, right? So I would just write P1 over here and P2 over here. And I say that each player has 3 possible actions. So I need the table to have 3 possible actions. Wait. I need the name of the table too, so it's gonna be 4, okay? 4, something like this. So, player 1 can play rock or paper or scissors. Player 2 can play rock or paper or scissors. Am I right? So if each of the player has 3 possible options, how many possible outcomes are there? 9, right? So distinguish between the word outcome and payoff, okay? So there are 9 possible outcomes. Number 1, rock and rock. Number 2, rock and paper. Number 3, rock and scissors. So each box here represents a possible outcome, total of 9. 9 possible combinations of this. Okay? In each possible outcome, okay, how much money you will get from winning. So suppose that if you win, you get 10 baht. If you lose 10 baht. Okay, you lose 10 baht. The marker. Okay. So now I'm gonna write down all the possible outcomes. Okay. Oh, so if it's a tie, then nobody get anything. Okay, you don't get anything or don't lose anything. So if the outcome is player 1 play rock, player 2 also play rock, then we get 0-0, right? If rock and paper, rock lose and paper win, right? So when we write an outcome, this is the payoff of P1, okay? P1 on this side, so we make this payoff of P1. And this one will be payoff of P2. Of course, in outcome 1, okay? In outcome 1, if outcome 1 happens. And if player 1 plays rock and player 2 plays scissors, it will be 10, -10, right? So basically, the payoff table should look like this. Wait. It's so hard. Who win, who lose? No. Right? Am I right? So this basically how you set up, okay? So this is how you set up a rock, paper, scissors game in a proper game theory way. Is it okay? Okay. We will talk about solving later, okay? So now, before we get into the theory or solving anything at all, let's play a game. Let us play a game, okay? So this game is called Prisoner's Dilemma. Anyone has played this game before? Okay, so Prisoner Dilemma, what is it? So in this game, we have 2 prisoners, okay? Went into a bank robbery together. So two people robbed a bank together. The police went to the bank, and there are evidence everywhere that these 2 people robbed a bank, okay? However, when the police look into the bank, there is a dead security guard. However, The police has no evidence whatsoever to tie the two people, the two prisoners, with the murder case. Okay? With the murder case. So what happened is, the police take the two prisoners into the police station in a separate interrogation room. Okay? So let me write down the story. The story is two people rob a bank, right? And then a security guard died. So the police have evidence. The police only have evidence for robbery, but not murder. So this is the situation, okay? And therefore, the police take the two prisoners into the police station, into separate interrogation room. Okay? So two separate interrogation room. So this is prisoner 1, okay? And this is prisoner 2. So they face different police. So they cannot talk with each other. Now, the police here and the police here, they will ask each of the prisoners at the same time. This is a simultaneous game, okay? They allow the prisoner to confess or not confess for the murder case, okay? So now both of them will go to jail for robbery, but the police want them for murder. So this is the deal. Suppose you are prisoner number 1. This is the deal. If you confess, okay? If you confess and your friend do not confess, I will let you go free, okay? And your friend will have to go to jail for. So if okay, let's go this one first. If none of you confess, you each will go to jail for 1 year for robbery. However, if both of you confess, you both will go to jail for 6 years for murder with confession. However, if you confess and your friend do not confess, I will let you go free. Okay? But your friend will have to go to jail for 9 years. So that's the rule. The two prisoners are offered the same condition at the same time. They cannot talk with each other. They don't know the answer of the other person. What would you do? Would you like to confess or not confess? Wait, don't tell me yet. Don't talk to your friend either. I would like to know what you will choose. So you can scan QR code and just tell me what would you do. Would you confess or not confess? Just want to know that. So everyone, both of the prisoners get the exact same offer. If nobody confess, go to jail for 1 year. Both confess, go to jail for 6 years each. If you confess, your friend don't confess, you go free. Your friend go to jail for 9 years. What would you do? Would you confess or not confess? Okay, this is 302 class, okay? How would you come up with the best solution? Okay, how would you come up with the best solution for yourself? Oh, do you still need a QR code? Okay. It might be difficult to scan from the side, right? You got it? Everyone got it? So I'm gonna change back to the condition in case anyone cannot understand, okay? Just want to know, like, just try to think what would be the best strategy. You have seen this in a lot of movies, right? Yeah, like a lot of detective series. They always put prisoner into interrogation rooms and interrogate them separately and offering them deals. But you are prisoner now. So what would you do? Did everyone get it? Okay. I can check the Google Drive, but overnight, turn off the internet. But or maybe I can just ask you. Anyone confess? A lot of people confess. Anyone not confess? More people not confess. So, why do you not confess? It's better. So why would you confess? For people who confess, why would you confess? Okay, that is a very interesting logic. Anyhow, so I'm gonna teach you how to think like a game theorist. Okay, so to think like a game theorist, you think along this line. If your friend, so you think in a logic like this. If your friend confess, because what? Because the key to game theory is that the outcome depends not only on your action but your friend action, right? You can control your action. You cannot control your friend action. Therefore, you take your friend action as given. Okay? So basically, if your friend does this, right? Because you cannot control that. What would you do? Okay? If your friend confess and so suppose you confess, you will go to jail for 6 years. Okay? So -6 utility. -6, okay? But if you not confess, what happened to you? -9. So what would you do? Confess or not confess? So this is how you think like a game theorist. You take other people's action as given and you ask yourself what you should do. So if your friend not confess, okay, and you confess, what would happen? If your friend don't confess and you confess, you go free. And if you also not confess, you go to jail both for robbery for 1 year. So which one would you choose? Confess. So in this case, it's quite easy because it's like you cannot control your friend's behavior. But it doesn't matter what your friend does, you want to confess for your own benefit, okay? For your own benefit. So to properly solve this, okay, I'm gonna put all the payoff in the normal form game, also basically the table. So in doing the normal form game, you must number one, know who are the players. So in this game, there are prisoner 1 and prisoner 2 playing the game. Each prisoner has two possible strategies, either confess or remain silent. Okay, confess or remain silent. So we have the strategy listed for everyone. And once you have the strategy, you now can list the payoff. Okay, you now can list the payoff. So basically, that is the setup of the game. Okay, that is the setup of the game. I need to tell you that in game theory, there are two ways to set up the game. And when it is a simultaneous game like this, normal form game setting is preferred. But I also have to teach you how to set another, oh, you're still writing, okay, and then you write first. Okay, so that's another way to set a game, and it's called extensive form game. Okay, extensive form game, you start with the player node. Okay, so you can have prisoner 1 or prisoner 2 first. It doesn't matter in this case because it's a simultaneous game. But you start with a player node. Each player has two possible strategies. So we have strategy arms, okay? So this is remain silent and this is confess. So the node is the player, the arms are the possible strategies. So once the player 1 chooses his action, okay? If player 1 chooses to remain silent, player 2 will get to play, okay? So player 2 will get to play. However, player 2 has no idea which node he is on in a simultaneous game, okay? Player 1 may play silent or player 1 may play confess, player 2 doesn't know. So whenever player 2 doesn't know which node he is on, we have a dotted line linking the node to represent the fact that it's a simultaneous game, so it has no information. And then, if player 1 plays silent, player 2 can remain silent or confess. If player 1 confess, player 2 also have two choices, remain silent or confess, okay? He has to make decision without knowing which node he's on. I have to emphasize that again. And after you draw all the player and strategies node, then you arrive at the terminal node, which represents 4 possible outcomes. The first outcome is both remain silent. The second outcome is silent and confess. Third is confess and silent. And fourth is confess and confess. So there are 4 possible outcomes, and of course, you can have payoff. So this is called extensive form game. Okay, extensive form game. You will get to use more of this for sequential game. Okay, but for simultaneous game is better, it's easier to use normal form game. But this is how you represent the prisoner dilemma in extensive form game. Okay. So back to basic a little. Okay. So there are two types of game. One is static game when everyone plays simultaneously. Example, prisoner dilemma. And a dynamic game where everyone plays sequentially, okay? So one go first and the second one go later. Actually, let me ask you this. Suppose that we have prisoner dilemma. So we separate the prisoner into two interrogation room. So, but prisoner number one was interrogated at 9 a.m. Okay? And prisoner number two in another room never get to talk to prisoner one. But I only have one police, so he interrogated prisoner two at 10 a.m. They never get to talk. Is that considered simultaneous or sequential game? Simultaneous. They never talk. Please understand that the type of game depends on the information flow. Okay? So for a game to be dynamic game, notice this. Player one must choose an action, confess or not confess. And player two must observe. Okay? Player two must observe A1 or the action of player one before choosing A2 or the action of player 2. Okay? So the key for a game to be sequential game is that player 2 must observe player 1 action before making his decision. So that's the difference between static and dynamic game. And we're gonna do example later. It will be called, it is a trust game. It's quite fun. Okay? So another dimension that there are 4 types of game. Okay? One dimension is static versus dynamic, and another dimension is complete or incomplete information. Okay? So a game is considered complete information if there is no private information. Okay? So basically it means that each of the player know who are playing, know what are all the possible strategies that all the players can play, and also know all the payoff of everyone. Okay? So basically a game like rock, paper, scissors is complete information because I know that if I play scissors and you play paper, I would win and I would get $10. Okay? So our prisoner dilemma, the payoff of both players are presented to each of the players. So it is considered complete information game. However, the opposite is incomplete information. It means that some information are private. So think about auction. I think auction is very good. So suppose I have like a Mona Lisa painting, okay? I have a Mona Lisa painting, and you have to auction against me. Do you know my payoff? No, because you have no idea how much I don't like it, okay? So if you like it very much, then your value is super high, right? So your payoff is very high if you win. But if you don't like it at all, your value is very low and you don't happy very much when you win. So basically something like that, where people do not know other people payoff, we consider it an incomplete information game. I'm telling you because a lot of games in real life are incomplete information. Because if you are a company competing with another company, you not necessarily know your opponent, the another company cost structure, income structure, you not necessarily know, okay? So yes, a lot of time we face incomplete information. We're not gonna touch it in this class because it's a little too complicated, okay? Anyhow, as I said, if a game can be different in 2 dimensions, there are 4 types of games. And each type of game requires different equilibrium solution. Okay, I'm telling you here now first. That if you have a static game with complete information, the solution concept on how you solve it is called Nash equilibrium. Okay? If you have dynamic game with complete information, the solution is called subgame perfect Nash equilibrium. If you have static incomplete, we use Bayesian Nash equilibrium. And if you have dynamic incomplete, you have perfect Bayesian Nash equilibrium. Okay? In this class, we will only study static complete and dynamic complete. But I show you this just in case you are interested. If you are interested, you can read further into games with incomplete information. Okay? The first one, static game with complete information. So basically, in the case where you have 2 players, simultaneous move game, player 1 choose A1 and player 2 choose A2 at the same time. After that, player 1 will receive U1, the utility or the payoff, which is a function of the action of player 1 himself and also the action of player 2. So this makes it game theory. Because my payoff depends not only on my action but also your action. The same is true for player 2. His payoff depends not only his action but also another player action. So this, by definition, the structure of the payoff is considered interdependent. Okay? Interdependent. And you need to use game theory to solve it. So when you have a game, when you have a simultaneous game like this, evolution of solution concept is like you not necessarily go to Nash equilibrium first. So that I will present you another solution concept. It's called a dominant strategy solution. Okay? So first thing first, understand what does it mean by dominant and dominated. A dominant strategy is an optimal strategy no matter what an opponent does. So basically, in the prisoner dilemma, you will see that confess is a dominant strategy because it doesn't matter what another prisoner does. I always confess because it's best. And dominated strategy is the opposite. So remain silent would be dominated strategy because it's never optimal for me to remain silent. Okay? So in this case, we can use a technique called the iterated elimination of dominated strategy. So if you are playing a game with someone, you start by cutting out the dominated strategy first. Okay? So for example, so you are playing prisoner dilemma. Okay? And you are prisoner 1. You will see that if prisoner 2 remains silent, you are better off. If player 2 remains silent, you are better off confess. I am gonna teach you the technique that I like to use for myself, okay? So when I solve a game like this, I always write something like so I like to underline best response. Okay, I'm telling you vocabulary. What does best response mean? It means that so I am player 1, okay? So I go, if player 2 remains silent, confess is my best response. If player 2 confess is my best response. Okay? So if I know that I never choose to remain silent no matter what, remain silent would be considered dominated strategy. Cross it out. Okay? Cross it out. We're not gonna choose it. Then you solve the player 2 problem. So to solve the player 2 problem, you no longer have to consider the silence case because you know that if player 1 is rational, player 1 never gonna remain silent anyways. Therefore, player 2 can just consider this case and player 2 will say that if player 1 confess, my best response would be confess. Okay? And therefore, with the method of iterated elimination of dominated strategy, it would suggest that the equilibrium or the game outcome would be confess and confess. Okay? Confess and confess. It seems like a good method, right? What's the problem? What's the problem with the method of iterated elimination of dominated strategy? What's wrong with getting rid of dominated strategy one by one? What's wrong with that? In a lot of games, there is no eliminated strategy, but there is no dominated strategy, right? Some games they would not have dominated strategy. Think about rock, paper, scissors. What is the dominated strategy in this game? What is an action that always lose? No. So a lot of games just do not have dominated strategy. This method is good as long as you can use it. A lot of time you just cannot use it. So that's why Nash equilibrium is very famous because Professor Nash proved that Nash equilibrium always exists. Okay, for any static game with complete information, Nash equilibrium always exists. So what exactly is Nash equilibrium? What is the solution concept? So the concept of Nash equilibrium rely on the best response. Okay? So Nash said that the action A1 star, A2 star is considered a Nash equilibrium if A1 star is the best response for player 1 to A2 star. So in other words, I'm going to translate this for you, okay? So it means that if P2 play A2 star, then P1 will definitely play 1 star. It's best to play is the best response, okay? A1 star. And the opposite is true. A2 star is the best response for player 2 if player 1 play A1 star. Why is this an equilibrium? Just in logic. What is equilibrium exactly? What does equilibrium mean? It means stable, right? Nothing likely to change. So when we have a market equilibrium, P star, nobody have incentive to change price. When we have consumer equilibrium, consumer will consume X star, Y star. Nobody has incentive to change the X star and Y star because it maximizes utility already. This is the same. If currently the outcome is at A1 star and A2 star, and at A2 star, prisoner 1 doesn't want to change, and at A1 star, prisoner 2 also doesn't want to change, then it will be stable. Nobody has incentive to change. In other words, a lot of time people just say this for Nash equilibrium, okay? Oh, so basically, if player 2 play A2 star, the player 1 will get the highest payoff with A1 star, not any other A. And if player 1 play A1 star, player 2 will get the highest payoff with A2 star more than anything else. So with this, we can say that no player have incentive to deviate from her choice. Deviate means change. Again, this is the word that Professor Nash used, so get used to it, okay? So deviate just means change. That sentence just means that with this condition, it would be an equilibrium because nobody will change their mind. So basically, you have, in order to find Nash equilibrium, what you should do is first understand the base response. So again, if I am player 1, I think if player 2 silence, I will confess. If player 2 confess, I will confess. And now, if I am player 2, I also have to think, if player 1 remains silent, I will confess. This is my base response, right? And if player 1 confess, I will also confess. And by definition of Nash equilibrium, we look for something that is the base response for each other. Okay? So basically, in this outcome, if I know that you confess, would I change my mind? So this is a Nash equilibrium, right? So you know that this is a Nash equilibrium. You can check if I am player 1 and I know that player 2 confess, will I change my mind? No. If I am player 2 and player 1 confess, will player 2 change his mind? No. So if nobody changed their mind, done. Okay? It's a Nash equilibrium. You can check that it's only true here. You would think that a very good outcome like this is good, right? But it cannot be a Nash equilibrium because it's not stable. So think about it. I am player 1. And I know that you will remain silent. Do I want to change my mind to here? If player 2 remains silent, right? So now we are here. So now we are at outcome 1. Okay? Will I change my mind? Yes. Because if I know for sure that you're gonna remain silent, I will just go free. Right? So basically, if someone changes their mind, this cannot be Nash equilibrium. Okay? So it has to be an outcome where nobody have incentive to change. So here's a question. Is Nash equilibrium good? Do you like it? Is Nash equilibrium good? Not necessary, right? Nash equilibrium is the most likely outcome. if everyone is rational. So people choose, if everyone choose what's best for them, then it is the most likely outcome. It has nothing to do with good or bad. Okay? So you will see that for the two prisoners, it's much better here. Right? So basically, let me tell you two concepts of good outcome. I think you should be quite used to the word good in economics. So whenever we say like, is this outcome good? We usually call it efficient, right? The outcome is efficient. And the most definition, the type of efficiency that we talk about is economic efficient, okay? So an outcome is considered economic efficient if it maximizes social welfare. So what is social welfare? Economic efficient is just the summation of the payoff of everyone in the society, right? So economic efficient is just if social welfare is maximized. So which one is economic efficient? Outcome 1, 2, 3, or 4? 1, right? Because negative 2 is the best that the society can do. We like economic efficient very much. It's hard to achieve in reality. So we have second best, a different definition of efficiency called Pareto efficiency. I really like it a lot actually. So think about it. A Pareto efficiency is a solution. It's Pareto efficient if there is no other feasible solution in which some player is better off without anyone being worse off. Think about it. So Pareto efficient means that if I move from this outcome to this outcome, and at least one person better off without anyone worse off, it's good. Okay, it's good. So, may I ask if the Nash equilibrium Pareto efficient? So is this outcome number 4, the Nash equilibrium here, is Pareto efficient? Can I move somewhere that one person is better off and another person does not worse off? Can I move to 1 or 2 or 3 that one person better off, another one not worse off? Exactly. So basically, we call this action from outcome number 4. The movement from outcome number 4 to outcome number 1, we call it Pareto improvement. It means that you can make Pareto improvement. It means that you can make one person, at least one person, okay, better off without anyone worse off. So think about it. If moving from 4 to 1 is a Pareto improvement, is Nash equilibrium Pareto efficient? No. Okay? Think about when I analyze Pareto efficiency, I like to do it in 2 steps. Okay? Step 1, try to find Pareto improvement. If there is a Pareto improvement, then it's not efficient. Okay? So to check whether or not an outcome is Pareto efficient. Number one, find Pareto improvement. Number two, if there exists Pareto improvement strategy, then the outcome is not Pareto efficient. So you will see this a lot more in macroeconomics, I think, because like in the society, we have many group of people like the poor and the rich. So if you would like to help the poor by taxing the rich, then it's not Pareto improvement because someone must sacrifice something to help the other. But Pareto improvement strategy is the one in which you get to help some group without hurting any other group. So it's usually a good and less strong efficiency definition that all the policy makers should consider. Okay? So if suppose you understand that what it means by Pareto efficiency, let me ask, is outcome number 3 here Pareto efficient? Is outcome number 3 here Pareto efficient? If you say no, how do you improve it? How do you Pareto improve this? You cannot say it yes, okay? So basically, this outcome is Pareto efficient. This outcome also Pareto efficient, this outcome also Pareto efficient. Because you cannot Pareto improve it. Because think about it. Now this person gets 0. You can't move by not hurting them. So if you say that, oh, it's so sad, prisoner 2 have to go to jail for 9 years, maybe we move here, but this person will be worse off. So it's not good for everyone. Here's another question. Is economic efficient outcome always Pareto efficient? It actually is yes. Because if everyone utility is already maximized and you increase one person utility, what would happen to the other? It must decrease, right? Because the sum already maximized. If you increase one person utility, definitely decrease someone utility. Another interesting question. Is Pareto efficient always economic efficient? No, right? So we can say that, okay, in economics, we really like economic efficiency. It's so hard to get. So Pareto efficiency is a weaker concept of efficiency and should be considered. So in conclusion, Nash equilibrium is not necessarily good, it's not economic efficient, and also, in the game of prisoner dilemma, it's not economic efficient, also not Pareto efficient. But in other case, it may be, okay? It may be. Okay. So, should we have a little break and we come back to do some exercise, okay? So we can use that clock, okay? So let's do 10 minutes break. Okay, fine, you can have 15 minutes break if you want. ค
เ
Okay, let's start with this exercise. So in this exercise, it's like we have firm 1 and firm 2 as two players in the market. The two firms now just enter a market, okay, for breakfast cereal. And then the issue facing them is whether or not to produce like a crispy type of breakfast or the sweet type of the breakfast cereal, okay? The thing is, if they produce the same type, they will be competing heavily with each other. Each of them will lose 5 million and 5 million. But if they do market separation, meaning that a firm choose to do sweet and another firm choose to do crispy, so they will have market power in their own section and they will make profit 10 million and 10 million. That is the story, okay? Using Nash equilibrium method, find the best response and find the Nash equilibrium. What is the Nash equilibrium here? What is the Nash equilibrium here? So you would find the best response first, right? So basically, you think now you are P1, you are P1. If P2 choose crispy, you would choose sweet. If P2 you choose sweet, you would just go crispy, right? And if you are P2, you do the same thing. If P1 choose crispy, you will sweet. If sweet, you will crispy. So by definition of Nash equilibrium, so these two are Nash equilibrium, okay? I choose this example to show you because Nash equilibrium doesn't have to be one, okay? You can have two Nash equilibrium in a game. It is possible to have two Nash equilibrium in a game. Is the Nash equilibrium Pareto efficient? Is this one Pareto efficient? Yes. So this also PE and this also PE, right? Pareto efficient. Is the Nash equilibrium economic efficient? Yes. So I just want to give you an example in which Nash equilibrium is good, okay? Because stick to the definition. Nash equilibrium is just like the most likely outcome. It may be good, it may be bad, depending on the game, okay? So this also can be good. How about this one? So this is a matching penny game, okay? It's quite a famous game. The game goes like that. We play against each other. So maybe I am player A, I'm A, you B, and if the penny match, I win. If the penny don't match, you win. So I contribute 1 penny. You contribute 1 penny. If it's like head and head, it match, I win. If it's head and tail, you win. Okay? So basically, the payoff is like this. If head and head, player 1 gets the penny, so get 1 penny. And player B will lose the penny. The same. If it's tail and tail is matched, player 1 will get the penny, player 2 will lose the penny. However, if the player 1 play tail and player 2 play head, it doesn't match, and therefore player 1 lose the penny, player 2 will gain 1 penny. And this is also true. If player 1 play head, player 2 play tail, it doesn't match, player 2 win. Okay? So this is the playoff. What is the Nash equilibrium? What is the Nash equilibrium? So you can just do the base response, right? So if player 2 play head, player 1 want to match. If player 2 play tail, player 1 want to match, right? And if player 1 play head, player 2 doesn't want to match. If player 1 play tail, player 2 doesn't want to match. So basically, it might seem that there is no Nash equilibrium. Is that possible? Okay, so the thing is, Professor Nash said that Nash equilibrium always exists, okay? But Nash equilibrium does not always have to be in pure strategy form. Please understand that the solution to Nash equilibrium strategies in game theory, there are 2 types. Type number 1 is pure strategy. Pure strategy means you play the same strategy, and that's the Nash. One strategy with probability 1, and that's the Nash. For example, so in this Nash, so these 2 are pure strategy. In this outcome, player 1 strategy is sweet, and player 2 strategy is crispy. Okay? And in this outcome, player 1 strategy is crispy, player 2 is sweet, for sure. I'm playing sweet for sure. I'm playing crispy for sure. Another type of strategy is called a mixed strategy. A mixed strategy means that you play many strategies with probability. Think about it. If I play rock, paper, scissors, and I always play one strategy for sure, how is that a good thing, right? So sometimes the best strategy, what is the best strategy into playing rock, paper, scissors? What is the best strategy? You mix, right? You play rock with probability 1/3, paper with probability 1/3, and scissors with probability 1/3. So sometimes the best strategy is to mix between many strategies. Is that okay? Pure strategy is like confess. Mixed strategy is like, I don't know, maybe probability 1/2 I will play head, probability 1/2 I will play tail. Okay? Let's see. Since Professor Nash said that matching penny game must have an equilibrium, and there is no pure strategy to be seen, it must be the mixed strategy, okay? So now, we are going to solve for the mixed strategy. And to do that, in solving the mixed strategy, you first assign probability, because think about the solution in mind. The solution for a mixed strategy would be a person play head with some probability and tail with some probability, right? So what you're solving for is the probability. So you let probability of player 1 playing head be P, and therefore the probability of player 1 playing tail must be 1 minus P, because you can only do head or tail, okay? And you also let player 2 probability of playing head be Q, and tail must be 1 minus Q. And we're gonna solve for P and Q. Now, our equilibrium solution will be in the form of P and Q, okay? So, in order to solve this, you do the same thing. So you think, let's see expected payoff. So you have to now find, if you are player 1, you want to know the expected payoff of playing head. Okay, so you think, so this is expected payoff of player 1 playing head. If player 2 with probability Q, okay, with probability Q, player 2 will play head. With probability Q, player 2 will play head. And if player 1 decides to play head, he will get 1. Am I right? So this is the payoff of playing head is 1. With probability Q. So P2 play head with PR equal to Q. And this is P1 payoff if P1 plays H and P2 plays H. And if there's also a possibility that player 2 will play tail, okay, and if that happens, player 1 will get negative 1. Will get the payoff of negative 1. So if you solve this, you get Q plus 1, Q minus 1 plus Q, or basically 2Q minus 1. So I can say that the expected payoff if player 1 play H is 2Q minus 1. Okay, 2Q minus 1. You do the same thing. So, what would be the expected payoff of player 1 playing tail? So if with probability Q, player 2 will play H, and then the payoff will be negative 1. And with probability 1 minus Q, the player 2 will play tail, and player 1 will gain 1. And in the end, you get negative Q plus 1 minus Q, or basically 1 minus 2Q. Okay. Can you do the same thing for player 2? Can you guess why we need to know this? Because in the end, okay, we're gonna determine strategy. So you do the same thing for player 2, okay? Why do we need to know to do this? Because in the end, your strategy would be this. You want to find the best response, right? The best response is that player 1 will choose head. The best response is head. If Q is big, so basically, we want to find player 1 best response, okay? So basically, player 1 choose P1, choose head if the expected value payoff of playing head is bigger than the expected payoff of playing tail, right? I only will choose head if head gives me higher expected payoff. So in other words, if 2Q minus 1 is bigger than 1 minus 2Q, and if you solve it, you get 4Q bigger than 2, or Q bigger than 1 minus 2. So player 1 choose head if Q is bigger than 1/2. When you solve mathematics, please also think logically. Does this make sense? If you are player 1, you want to match the penny, right? What does it mean? Q bigger than 1/2, what does this mean? What is Q again? Probability of player 2 playing head, right? So basically, this statement just say player 1 should play head if player 2 more likely to play head than tail. Okay? And the opposite should be true. Player 1 should play tail. Okay? Should play tail. If expected value of head is less than expected payoff of tail, or basically 2Q minus 1 less than 1 minus 2Q, or basically Q is less than 1/2. So in other words, if player 2 is more likely to play tail, player 1 should play tail as well. Makes sense? Because player 1 wants to match the penny. Okay, player 1 wants to match the penny. So and the player 1 should be indifferent. The player 1 should be indifferent between playing head and tail. If so player 1 is indifferent if E1H equals to E1 tail, right? And that would be when 2Q minus 1 equal to 1 minus 2Q, or basically Q equal to 1/2. In other words, I can say that the best response function of player 1 depends on Q, or the probability that player 2 will play head, and it equals to head. So please know that the best response of player 1 is essentially, so now play strategy is transformed into P1 as a function of Q, right? So the best response of player 1 response is just P. Okay? So the best response function of player 1 as a function of player 2 strategy equals to 1 if Q is bigger than 1. Can you get that? So basically, P is 1 if Q is bigger than 1. What does it mean? Player 1 will play head because P equals to 1 is head, if you remember. P equals to 1 is head, right? Q equals to 1 is head. So this one reads, if player 2 more likely to play head, player 1 would play head. If player 2 play random, player 1 will random as well because player 1 is indifferent. If player 2 more likely to play tail, player 1 should just play tail. Okay? So basically this is player 1 based response function, and please understand that player 1 response is in terms of P. Okay? And let you write down. And we're gonna do the same thing for player 2. You know, like if you can understand the game matching penny, maybe you should play with your friend once or twice. Like you just bring a coin each of you. If it match, player 1 win. If it doesn't match, player 2 win. Play it a few times and you will see that Nash equilibrium makes sense. Like the best strategy that you will solve will make sense in real life. And do not be scared by calculation because this is very intuitive. Player 1 want to match the coin. If player 2 more likely to play head, I play head. If player 2 more likely to play tail, I play tail. That's it. Okay? Nothing more complicated than that. Okay, let's do player 2 based response function. Let's solve player 2 problem. What should player 2 do, right? So player 2 should choose hand H. If the expected payoff of player 2 for playing H is bigger than the expected payoff of player 2 if choosing tail. And if you solve this correctly, or if I solve this correctly, you find that the expected payoff of player 2 playing H is 1 minus 2p, and playing tail is 2p minus 1. And if you solve it, you get 4p and 2. So p is smaller than 1/2. So how do you read this condition, right? So this condition just say that if player 1 is more likely to play tail, player 2 should play H. Because the objective of player 2 is to not to match the penny, right? Because if you match, player 1 win. If it not match, player 2 win. So if player 1 is more likely to play tail, player 1 will just play H. Right? The head. Am I right? Okay. And player 2 should play tail if player 2 expected payoff of playing head is less than player 2 expected payoff of playing tail. So basically 1 minus 2p is smaller than 2p minus 1. Or basically p is bigger than 2. Read, if player 1 is more likely to play head, player 2 should play tail. Done. Okay? And the indifferent case is the same. So can you write player 2's base response function? So player 2 base response function is a function of P, meaning that player 2 responds to player 1 action. Or basically you can say that it's Q, okay, as a function of P. and player 2 should play head if P is less than 1/2. Player 2 should play random if P equals to 1/2, and player 2 should play tail if P is bigger than 1/2. So that is player 2 base response function. See, Nash equilibrium is all about analyzing the base response first. Okay? And once you have the base response, Nash equilibrium is defined as an outcome in which P star is the base response to Q star, and Q star also the base response to P star. And we're gonna find that. So step 1 always set up the problem. Step 2 always find the base response. And step 3, you find the Nash equilibrium. Are there any questions? Does this make sense? I think the setup is quite simple because you want a condition like this. If you can understand this, then you can understand this. Okay, so we finish the base response function set. We're gonna find the Nash, okay? We're gonna use graph because easier that way. So I am going to find a point in this space that P and Q are base response to each other. So I make P here and Q here, okay? And I would like to draw the base response function. So here I would like to draw person 1 base response function first. How do I draw it? How do I draw this function? So if Q is less than 1/2, if Q is less than 1/2, P would be 0, okay? Wait, am I right? Q is less, if Q is less than 1/2, yeah, I'll do it. Oh yes, P would be 0, right? If Q is above 1/2, if the Q equal to 1/2, then P would be 1/2. Okay, am I right? P would be 1/2. Oh, so you can play anything. So you can play anything because it's indifferent. You can play anything between 0 and 1. So if Q is 1/2, it doesn't matter what you play. Okay, it doesn't matter what you play. You get the same response. So this means that you can play whatever between 0 and 1/2, and 1. Okay, so you can, basically it means that you can play tail or head. Fine. Because another person play at random. But if Q is above 1/2, and probability cannot be higher than 1, okay? P would play 1, okay? P would play 1. So basically, this is the base response of player 1 as a function of Q. The base response of player 1 as a function of Q. And then you can also draw the base response of player 2 as a function of P. Okay? So basically if P is lower than 1/2, player 2 will play 1. Something like this. If player 1 play 1/2, player 2 can do whatever because it's at random. And if player 1 more likely to play tail, then more likely to play head, then player 2 should just play tail or Q equal to 0. And this one is the best response function of player 2 as a function of P. By definition of Nash equilibrium, a Nash equilibrium must be a point where the best response function cross, right? So basically this is simply what we call a mixed strategy Nash equilibrium. And you can see that the best strategy to play this game is to play head with probability 1/2 and to play tail with probability 1/2. So the Nash equilibrium is written like this. Play head, this is player 1. Player 1 play head with probability 1/2 and tail with probability 1/2. Player 2 also do the same. Play head with probability 1/2 and tail with probability 1/2. So that is it for a mixed strategy Nash equilibrium. Are there any questions? Set up a game first. Find the best response functions for both and find the Nash equilibrium. 3 steps. Okay, so I would like to remind you that this is what I mean by setting up the game. Setting up the game to solve for mixed strategy and Nash equilibrium, you need to set P and Q. Then find the expected payoff. Then you find the best response function, draw the graph, get the Nash equilibrium. Calculation is easy. Understand each step is more challenging. So I hope that you can do the calculation and also understand why we do what we do, okay, and what it means. If you really play this game, you will realize that always play head is never good, okay? It's just like rock, paper, scissors. Always play rock is never good. The best strategy is actually random, like that, 1/2, 1/2. So you probably can guess that the mixed strategy Nash equilibrium for rock, paper, scissors will be 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Okay, random is good. If there is no question, your turn. If you can finish this, so for both pure and mixed strategy Nash equilibrium, okay? If you can get this, we can leave for today, okay? This is the first half of the chapter. We're gonna get this and done for today. Let's see if anyone can do that. We can make this like the group participation score, right? So I would like the first person to find the PL Nash equilibrium. Keep in mind there might be many. Okay, and you can tell me your ID. And then I'll find you your group. Or everyone in the group will get the point. So I can draw you this and you can just do it. Oh, I cannot give you group score because people who are not here cannot do it. Then it's probably not a fair game, right? Interesting. How do people run online courses and give participation score? It's interesting. I don't know how to do that yet. Maybe I can just give you group participation score, and it's not much, and people will have plenty of opportunity to get participation score from presentation, right? You will have presentation on next week or not, right? We will have presentation next week, and there will be plenty of opportunity for score. And number 2, you can get set up for mixed strategy Nash equilibrium. And another group, you can find best response function of player 1 and best response function of player 2. And then another person will have to draw the graph and solve for the Nash equilibrium. Okay? So I think easiest one would be pure strategy Nash equilibrium. You can just write one person ID and I will search for your group or group score, okay?
So step by step. I think to find the Nash the pure strategy should be easiest. And then setting up the mixed strategy Nash equilibrium should not be too hard. Find, I don't know, to me it's not very hard. So I kind of need 4 groups to do it, but the first 3 groups first. So maybe the pure strategy first. In case that you are not confident, I'm gonna hint. There will be 2 pure strategy Nash equilibrium and 1 mixed strategy Nash equilibrium. Okay.
Pure strategy Nash equilibrium, you go by trying to find the best response, right? If Jim choose wrestling, then, oh, do you know this story? This is called the battle of the sexes, okay? So when you have boyfriend and girlfriend, okay, you love each other, right? So you want to be together. So in the evening, you kind of want to go together very much. That if the boyfriend go to opera and the girlfriend go to wrestling, you will be so sad and gain no utility at all. Okay, so you do want to go with each other. However, the boyfriend and the girlfriend always want to go to different activities. So in this example, Joan just really like to go to see wrestling, and Jim really like to go to see opera. So if you get to go together and do the activity that you like, you get utility 2. If you get to go together, but you forced to do the activity that you don't like, you get utility 1. So we call something like this battle of the sexes, okay? So male and female always want to go to different activities. The thing is, so basically, if Jim choose wrestling, okay, John want to go too. John will also better off choosing wrestling. If Jim choose opera, John want to go together, so John will also choose opera. If John choose wrestling, Jim choose wrestling. If John choose opera, Jim always will do the same, okay? And we can say that this wrestling and wrestling. So player 1 choose wrestling and player 2 choose wrestling is a Nash equilibrium. And this one, player 1 choose opera and player 2 choose opera is the Nash equilibrium. So we have 2 Nash equilibrium with 2-1 outcome or payoff, and also 1-2 payoff. Okay, so the number is payoff. The outcome is represented by strategy of player 1 and strategy of player 2. Can you separate between outcome and payoff? So the outcome is player 1 go to wrestling and player 2 also go to wrestling. Okay? And the payoff is if this outcome happens, player 1 will gain the utility of 2 and player 2 will get the utility of 1. Okay? So this is outcome, this is payoff, which is perfect. Okay, so can we do mixed strategy Nash equilibrium? Can we do that? Can we set up P and Q like that? You can treat John as player 1, right? So you can just make this P and this is P minus 1. This is Q and this is Q minus 1, right? And if you do that, you can find the expected payoff. So this one will be find the expected payoff of player 1 if player 1 play wrestling, and expected payoff of player 1 if play opera, and expected payoff of player 2 if play wrestling, and expected payoff of player 2 if play opera. Can we do that? The idea of the whole game theory thing is just that you can choose your own action. You cannot choose other people's action. However, your payoff depends on both your action and other people's action. So the strategy is to think what if. Okay, what if other people do this? What if other people do that? What would I do? Okay. I really like game theory because it can apply to so many things in life. And it helps if you can understand that with all the decisions you have in your life, if all the things that you want in your life, what can you choose, what depends on you, and what is not. So your strategy should be designed around the decision that you can make, not the decision that other people make. Can anyone do this? Okay, which one? Okay.
That one I think is a different feedback. Player one, usually player one is John, yes. Player one is the one on the left hand side and player two is the one on top. You can erase it fine for them, but you got two. Someone can have to do part 3 and 4. Each group will need 5 participation points that you can gain any time during the class. Each group, okay? A lot of points will come from comment on your friend presentation next week. Thank you, that's very good. Your friend put T to be Jim's decision, okay? Put Q to be John's decision. So, if this is John, the expected payoff of John choosing racing depends on T, okay? If, with probability T, if Jim chose racing, John will get equity of 2. And with probability 1 minus T, that Jim choose opera, John will get equated 0. So that's how it works. So you can get the expected payoff.
You can get the expected payoff of John playing wrestling and John playing opera, and the same for Jim. Okay? Thank you very much. Very good. Okay. Can anyone find the best response function? The best response function. What is BR1? So now, please know that BR1 would be a function of P now, right? And BR2 will be a function of Q. But you can write whatever, okay, it's fine. Can anyone find the best response function? Best response function is a simple rule, okay? You have to think like, when should John choose wrestling? The logic is, John wants to choose wrestling if expected payoff from choosing wrestling is bigger than the expected payoff of choosing opera, right? So start from solving that, and then you should be able to get the best response function. Anyone can do that? I mean, if you did in your paper and you switch P and Q, it's fine, okay? Can anyone do it? Or should I do it slowly? Is it okay? Anyone want to try? Because it doesn't have to be right. It's just you know, like when you do exercises, it doesn't have to be correct actually. People learn from mistake more than correct, right? So maybe you can try. And you get participation points anyway, so.
I did not take photo yet. Can I have your ID again? You can just tell me. Oh, okay. And now, someone can do problem 4, okay? You can draw the graph and tell me what is the mixed strategy as equilibrium.
Okay, that's very good. I always afraid that there would not be enough space to write, but I feel that students always be able to write in a small space. I cannot. So that's very good. ahead. Thank you. This would be Q as a function of P, right? And the rest is very good. Which one is Q, which one is P? Is this? That's very good. Thank you very much. So this would be P as a function of Q. Very, very good. Can I have your student ID too? And can you help your friend a little on that? Do you know? Do you think that we are drawing the best response functions at the moment, right? So we're gonna have to pick which one do we that is very good.
And that would be what now we make Q the strategy of the person and P the strategy of the student. So if that is the case, then you have this one and the first person strategy as a function of P. So that one will be the second person strategy as a function of and this point.
So can you say that your friend just drew this two best response function, okay, to put them in graph. But from the beginning, we started setting up player 1 strategy as Q and player 2 strategy as P, okay? So now thinking Q Q now is player one strategy, and base response function of player one must be a function of Q, like this, like P. So the red line over there is simply this equation. Can you see that? The red line is a step equation of this, and the black line is a step equation like this, the BR2. When you draw them together, then you get 3 points in which the base response function process. Thank you very much. That's very good. Okay, so you would see, thank you. So you would see that when you draw the base response function, there are 3 points that they cross. Don't be surprised, because we just solved in the first stage, saying that we have 2 pure strategy Nash equilibrium, right? And look, what is this point exactly? So this point is player 1 playing wrestling and player 2 playing wrestling, right? So basically this is simply wrestling with probability 1, right? P is 1, Q is 1. So this is a pure strategy Nash equilibrium. So you play wrestling with probability 1. Or if you write it in the mixed strategy Nash equilibrium way, you would say that player 1 will play wrestling with probability 1 and opera with probability 0, and player 2 also will play wrestling with probability 1 and opera with probability 0. Writing this and this is the same. Can we okay with that? Because we say that this is wrestling, right? Opera. Wrestling, opera. So when P equals to 1 and Q equals to 1, it means they both go to wrestling. Okay? For sure. And this point here, it means that it's also a Nash equilibrium in which the probability is 0, 1, 0, 1. So basically, it's the outcome in which both go to opera. This is O, okay? So opera and opera. And please know that whenever you have 2 pure strategy Nash equilibrium, that exists a mixed strategy Nash equilibrium, which is here. And what is this? So let's call this point NEM, okay? The the mixed strategy Nash equilibrium here, it will equal to, so in this case, Q is player 1, right? So you have 2/3. Player 1 will go to the wrestling with probability 2/3 and go to the opera 1 minus Q, which is 1/3. And then player 2 at this point will go to the wrestling with probability 1/3 and opera with 2/3. So there would be 3 Nash equilibria in this case, okay? So whenever that you find a mixed strategy Nash equilibrium, if there also exists pure strategy Nash equilibrium, you should see it in graph too. Because pure strategy Nash equilibrium is simply just an equilibrium with probability 1 in some strategy. So see, you have probability 1 and 0, 1 and 0. So basically it's pure. If it mixed, it has to be like that. Are there any questions? So that's it for today, okay? This is like the first half of the game theory chapter. And if you think about it, I would like you to truly understand prisoner dilemma. If you understand prisoner dilemma, you can use prisoner dilemma game to model why people burn farming in Thailand and China and everywhere in Asia and maybe South Africa, so many places. Believe it or not, the problem of burning agricultural waste to create air pollution is the same as prisoner dilemma. Let me tell you this. In learning game theories, there is no way that I can teach you every game in the world. So I can show you many games, and many games will have the same pattern. Okay, will have the same pattern. So when you model decision making and stuff like that, you need to really understand analogy between two games, like these two games are essentially the same or something like that. Maybe tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow I will give you more example of games that are equivalent to prisoner dilemma, okay? And you will see why when you start learning game theory, prisoner dilemma always the first game that you get to learn. Why is it so important? Why is it so famous? The answer is it has so many applications, okay? So many real life applications that beyond like sending prisoner to jail, okay? So, okay, that's it for today. If you have questions, you can ask. If not, I'll see you tomorrow.